In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
From beautiful Saline in southeastern Michigan.
Around the world at sunskyMysteries.com.
This is the 2009 Top 10 Webcam in the World winner. This is SETV.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's amazing episode of Surrounded by Idiots. Yes, I have the tinfoil hat at the ready so that we will go ahead and start the show the same way that we ended the show last night. You know, belief is a personal point of view. You may believe in your version of God, seeing into the future, using remote viewers or what have you. To dismiss another point of view invites nothing short of being abandoned yourself when you wish your point of view to be listened to. Placing dismissal or hatred toward another as a point of view is worthless in the view of the universe and your fellow beings in it. Be patient, be in a state of learning, and you will be rewarded. What follows is my point of view. Take it for what it is worth to you. As we go through this time in the existence of mankind, we are once again entering the times of evil. It is around us, I am convinced, very real, and it means to destroy us. So, welcome to the show. It appears that everything is working properly for a change. Now, a lot of you, I know out there, have had some issues with your internet connection today. So, let's take a look at tonight's Internet Traffic Report. Incidentally, we are brought to you by SOS Backup. That's right, SOS Backup. We'll have a little bit more about our advertiser on tomorrow night's show. So let's take a look at the Internet Traffic Report. Here we go. We are going to look at the North American traffic right here. Since most of us are in North America, we'll go ahead and look at the North American Traffic Report. You can see right here, North America, your global index right now that you can see up here on the screen. Hold on a second. Let me do something real quick here. We are going to go and there we go. We are going to, hold on one moment while I do something really, really cool. There we go. Okay, right here. This is your global index. All right, the global index right now is 68. That is crappy. Over here you can see the North American index right here, which is at 70. Now, a traffic rate of 100 is perfect. Okay, so if you're at 100, there's no packet loss. Every little bit of information is flowing across the internet just absolutely perfectly. But as you can see tonight, we have 70 over here, and we have a 68 globally. Now, let's take a look over here at these figures right here. And this will tell you a lot about it. You can get to this by going to internettrafficreport.com. That's internettrafficreport.com. You can see the average response time is up to 256. That is not good at all. The average packet loss right now, that means when we're streaming, say, this video, it streams in packets. Call a packet a word, okay? 25% of all the words on the internet are being lost. Total number of routers is 37 right now, and 56%, look at this number, 56% of all the routers in the United States are down. Let's take a look at the routers right now. Now you can see right here on the screen we have trying to operate the mouse and the microphone and the camera at the same time. You can see Anaheim is down. You can see Canada is down. You can see that Vancouver is down. Right here, right there, Vancouver's down. Georgia is down. Atlanta is down. Kansas is down. You can see all of those are down. Let's go down. Let's go down through the screen here. You can see that Mexico, Chihuahua, is down. The one right here, very close to where I live, right here in Ypsilanti, down. New Hampshire, down. Jersey City is down. Ohio, Pennsylvania, Texas, Virginia, and Wisconsin, all of those servers are down. What's causing that, we don't know. I am being told that our audio is breaking up. Hold on one moment while I get the headphone on and see what's going on here. Okay, there we go. No, the audio is pretty much perfect the way it is right now. Let's see if we can do some adjustments right here. There we go. Let me show you what our soundboard looks like. Those of you that have never seen our soundboard before, you can see there it is. It is a 4-channel Behringer soundboard. You can see the little LEDs and everything going there. So there we go. Okay. Hopefully the sound is working A-OK now. As you can see, many of the routers in North America are down. That's about 56%. Half of the network, the internet in North America, is down right now, which is amazing. We're not even going to look at the other routers around the world. So let's take a look at something that I wanted to show you guys, and that is right here, the moon. Let's take a look at the moon. Now, there has been a lot of hoop-de-doo on the internet and the various conspiracy sites and whatnot. Get your aluminum foil hats out, because you're going to need them for this particular little bit here. There's been a lot of hoop-de-doo on the internet, conspiracy sites and whatnot, that the position of the moon has changed. Now, you know, the position of the moon, as you know, it completes one full rotation every month, so that when it's a new moon, we're looking at the back of the moon, and when it's a full moon, like this photo that was taken on March 10th of 2006 by a fellow by the name of Kevin over there on Flickr. This is a Creative Commons unlicensed image of the moon, taken in 2006. You can see the moon there. It was taken with a power shot. You can see the position of the moon and everything, how it looks there. You can see the different seas and whatnot. Let me hang on, let me do something here so that I can show you this a little bit better. Never mind, I'm not going to do that. It just takes too much time to work through. So you can see this picture of the moon from 2006. This is an image of the moon I took this morning with my digital camera, my Kodak camera. It's about as good as I can get it, because it doesn't have a real good telephoto lens on it. So if we go back up here and look at this image, okay, and we look at this image, you can see there's a distinct difference. Let's get them side by side. On the left, you can see what the moon looked like in 2006, and on the right, you can see what the moon looks like today. As you can see, the moon has most assuredly rotated. It is not in the same position that it was in 2006. So, the next time you're talking to somebody that you know, and they say, well, you know what, the moon hasn't moved at all. Everything is just absolutely hunky-dory, and it's perfect, and it just depends on the time of the month and everything else, and blah, 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 blah. Well, you can see, all you got to do is go outside, take a photograph, find an old image that hasn't been corrected by anybody, and you can see that the position of the moon has most assuredly changed. Let's take a look at that again. There you go. There's on the left is the image of the moon from 2006, which is right here. And as you can hear, some idiot is calling us right now on the landline. Obviously, they don't realize that we are on the air. On the left-hand side there, you can see the image of the moon from 2006, where that red box is around. And over here on the right is the image of the moon that I took this morning. You can see the distinct difference between the two of them. What I may try to do later on tonight, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it, is I might try to get a webcam up with an image of the moon on it, live, so that we can see it. It depends on how well I can move stuff around here in the studio and everything else and get cameras hooked up, so don't be going and holding your breath on that. So, there you go. The moon has pretty much changed. And I also thought I'd go over here to another website that we frequent frequently, and that is the RSOE, Worldwide Emergency Website. It's this is run by who is it run by? I think it's run by the University of Hungary or something like that. It's a Hungarian website. They aggregate all of the different information from around the world. You can see that they have earthquake information here. You can see the earthquake. Hold on a second. There we go. You can see the earthquake information that I have up on the screen right there. You can see there was an earthquake in Portugal and whatnot. You can see right now down here in Mexico there was just an earthquake a little while ago. 4.7 on your Richter scale there. You can see that all kinds of volcanoes all over the place. There's another volcano out here towards the New Guinea. And what do you call it? And oh, look at this. There was a tornado in Texas at the look at that. There was a tornado down there in Texas today. Let me see. Very interesting. Don't usually see tornadoes in this time of the year, in the wintertime. You can see down here we have a biological hazard over there in the Bahamas. And real close to where we are here in Michigan, we have another biological hazard in Syracuse, over there in New York State. This one here is an airplane crash. There was that's a vehicle accident. They got the icons mixed up. But at any rate, you can see all of the various things here. You can see that there have been 2 earthquakes today, one in New Mexico and one in Utah. Believe it or not. Unusual to see them there. And if we go over here to the Asian Basin, you can see that we've had a whole bunch of earthquakes over here. We've had, what do we got here? What is this? This is a flood. They are having flash floods over there in India and whatnot. A bunch of biological hazard. You can see this little bird right here. That's the bird flu. Oh, and look, over in Japan, they have some type of a radiological thing going. Wonder what that is. At any rate, you can see that we have a poisoning down here in environmental pollution down there in Swaziland, whatever you want to call it, Swaziland. Alrighty, let's go back to the show notes. This is an interesting story. I'm going to give you guys a demonstration. I am going to give you guys a demonstration in what do you call it? In investigative reporting, and how we do our reporting for a show like this. There's a story making its way around on the internet right now. The headline is a guy from the 1800s traveled in time. Yeah, see, here's how it goes. This is a pretty good story. I actually like this one. This one shows an awful lot of creativity. Let's go back to the screen here. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Did a space-time vortex snatch a man from the 1800s and plop him down the middle of traffic on a busy New York street? Many witnesses, including the police department, say yes. Apparently what happened was this guy's driving down the road in New York City. I believe that the way this story goes, it's 53rd and Broadway. He's driving a taxi. He's driving down the road. All of a sudden, this guy appears. He hits him with the taxi and knocks him dead. Well, they look through his pockets and everything. The police do when the police get there, and they find a bunch of coins from the 1800s, and all of his clothes are completely incorrect for the time period. Apparently, right here, you can see right here. I'll highlight that for you. Rudolph Fentz Sr. disappeared in 1876. Despite an intense search by police, Fentz was never found. Yet his family always held out hope that the kindly immigrant from Europe would return. They waited years, eventually dying one by one, still with the hope that their beloved Rudolph might come back. Long after his living relatives had died, Rudolph Fentz returned, and he returned in the most incredible fashion possible. For Rudolph Fentz suddenly materialized in June of 1950 in the middle of a busy Fifth Avenue in downtown Manhattan, 74 years after vanishing without a trace. In fact, we'll go over here and to the original story right here, and you can see the original story. Let me get rid of a few other things right here. There we go. We'll get rid of that. We'll go over here. This particular story here appears on Before It's News. And you can see here we got a picture of Rudolph here somewhere. There he is. There's Rudolph. There you go. You can see Rudolph on your screen there. That's him right there. Good old Rudolph Fentz. And apparently he was whacked by this taxi cab, and after he traveled in time. The motorist who struck and killed the odd pedestrian testified the man seemed bewildered and confused, in a daze. The driver swore the man literally appeared with no warning right in front of him. The corpse itself was an enigma. Hold on a second. We got to... okay, here's what everybody's got to do. You gotta, okay, for this part of the story, you gotta get your aluminum foil hats on for this part of it. Okay, so let's go back over here. I'll give you guys a second to get your aluminum foil hats on. According to police records written by the investigating officers at the scene of the accident, the dead man wore a black coat, a white-brimmed hat, trousers, and odd shoes fastened with archaic 19th century style oversized buckles. He appeared to be in his early 30s. Police found coins long out of general circulation, some still retaining mint luster in the man's pockets, and his leather billfold were U.S. banknotes with dates preceding the 1870s and crisp calling cards engraved with the name Rudolph Fentz Sr. They discovered a receipt for boarding of horses and storage of a carriage, among other facts. Okay, so here's what they did. The police handed the case over to one of their crack missing persons investigators, a Hubert Wren. With the resources of the Missing Persons Bureau of the State of New York, Wren contacted his counterparts in European countries, including Austria and Germany, in an attempt to find existing relatives of the victim. And he ran into blind alleys no matter where he went. Well, managed to find a man by the name of Rudolph Fentz Jr. Well, as it turns out, Rudolph Fentz Jr. was long dead, but they found his widow, and his widow filled him in, the police investigator, that Sr. had disappeared in the 1800s, 1876. So what I did, in order to keep this short story as short and painless as possible for the audience, I went ahead and started doing some investigating of my own. So I started looking, and I thought to myself, did Rudolph Fentz actually exist? So what I did was I went over to Ancestry.com. And let's get back up here to where the links are. Okay, here we go. Let's go over to Ancestry.com. Wait for it to load up. And as you can see right here on the screen, Rudolph Fentz actually existed. Right here. Look. Right there. Came here from Austria. And you can see that he came here with his wife, Marie. Amazing. There he is. Our man Rudolph. So he actually came over here. So I started thinking to myself, what about death records? What if this story is incorrect somehow? So what I did was I went over here to Jenny.com, and you can see that I found the death record for a one Dr. Rudolph Fentz Sr. right here. Died on May 6th of 1915. So there you go. You have that. So, but it could be a different Rudolph Fentz. So I started thinking, and I started doing some searches, and I did some searches at the New York State, what was the name of the place called? Their Missing Persons Bureau over there in Albany. And as it turns out, this Wren guy, let me see, their crack investigator, Hubert Wren, never existed. So I found an article over here on Wikipedia about this particular guy. And as it turns out, this has been going on the internet for years. The real facts, in 1972, and apparently it has appeared in books, articles, and it is based on a 1952 Robert Heinlein science fiction anthology entitled Tomorrow the Stars. So, after some clever investigation, I have found that, in fact, the time-traveling clown from the 1800s that sadly appeared in the middle of traffic in 1950 and got whacked and smashed like a pancake in the middle of New York City. It's a fake story. It's made up. It is a clever story, though, I got to admit. There was actually a person by that name that came to the United States at the time when this guy was supposed to have come here. Very, very well-researched fake story. And if you don't do the complete background on this thing, if you don't really dig into a story like this, I have to say 99 times out of 100, they're probably either made up or have bad facts or faked. But, hey, what can you do? You got to look for the truth behind the story. So, let's go back over to the screen. Hold on a minute. Be helpful if I'm broadcasting the screen, wouldn't it? There we go. We have another couple of stories tonight that I'm going to hit on. And we're going to go down here to the bottom of the Rudolph Fentz story. And there we go. I've got the real facts behind Rudolph there. We're going to go over here and close that one out. We're going to close that one out. There we go. Now we're going to go over here, and it appears that, hold on one moment, I'm going to reload this, and there we go. The doomsday clock has been moved 1 minute closer to midnight. Now this particular story here, you have to be real careful with stories like this. I want to think, oh no, it's all because of this Middle East thing. Ah, doom. The story was actually written in 2010. I found the source for the story. They're doing some digging, and it's from 2010. However, many of these websites, many of these blogs, when you go there, it has today's date as the byline. This is for the search engines like Google, because Google likes fresh information. So it throws up today's date whenever the Google bot comes by, and if you look at it tomorrow, it'll have tomorrow's date on it. If you look at it yesterday, it'll have yesterday's date on it. Of course, you have to get together with Rudolph Fentz and go back a day in time in order to see yesterday's date on it. But this story about the nuclear clock, the doomsday clock being 1 minute closer to midnight, is a story that appeared in 2010. So let's take a look at the story here. Sign of pessimism about the future. It's now 5 minutes to midnight. Announced today, January 10th. And that actually was published in 2010. Even though it does have some updating. That is according to everything that I have found, because there was a link in the original article that led to the Doomsday Clock article, and the Doomsday Clock article had a date on it of 2010 as opposed to 2012. So that's another thing that you have to do is when you're looking at articles. The article that you're reading from today might be updated with the latest information, but the original timing of it could have been from some time in the past. It's something you have to be very, very careful about. And now we're going to go down to the last story. Didn't think it was really worth spending too much time on this particular story, the Doomsday Clock story, because it's just all messed up. It's got current information, and then the original story is from a long time ago. Now, this particular story here, after secret U.S. military visit, Mexico deploys 8,000 troops to the Mexican border. Now, I know somebody who is doing an investigation into some things that are going on in Mexico, and this might actually help clear up part of that. 2 weeks after a U.S. military convoy was seen in the northern Mexican city of Matamoros. How do you like that? I pronounced it correctly. Matamoros. The local head of Mexican's military police has been relieved of duty. After denying rumors that he was being relieved, the brigadier general was relieved. And was transferred to another duty station due to a promotion. According to the public safety officer. Don't you love it when that stuff happens? Did the U.S. military officials influence the Mexican government in the decision to relieve the chief of Matamoros? According to Northcom's Colonel Wayne M. Shanks, U.S. military officials traveled to Matamoros to hold a routine meeting in an interview with the Brownsville Herald. Colonel Shanks also mentioned that the meetings between the U.S. and Mexican militaries take place regularly. Now, this could actually be some disinformation that is being published. That's because of this sentence right here. This would perhaps explain the reason why a Mexican military helicopter landed at the Laredo, Texas airport just a few months ago. The difference this time is that the military meeting took place on the Mexican side of the border. Are the U.S. and Mexican governments allowing these military incursions to take place without informing their citizens? Now, we see stories all the time about Mexican military vehicles and helicopters and troops and everything else all along the southern border. Everybody's wondering, what the heck are these guys doing there? This appears to be a little bit of information. This may or may not be correct. I have absolutely no idea. Let's take a look at the original story at the original website, so you guys can make up your minds yourself. This particular story comes from let me see where it comes from. DeadlineLive.info. That's DeadlineLive.info. And you can see the story here at the original website. So, you know, this particular website doesn't update its dates whenever you look at it, like that previous story. This one was published on January 6th. And it was done by Mario Andrade for DeadlineLive.info. You can see the guy's name and the website name right there. So you had armored vehicles deployed to a Mexican military base near the Texas border. So you can see some Mexican military vehicles. Actually, those things look pretty cool. I wouldn't mind having one of those myself. They look like they're four-wheel drive and stuff. That's pretty cool. I could use one of those. In recent months, let me reduce the size of that a little bit so that we can all see it. In recent months, there have been many reports of drug cartels engaging in shootouts with Mexican military, eventually crossing into the U.S. side of the border as they're being chased. Groups of armed men have crossed the border, terrifying citizens in Roma, Elsa, and Rio Grande City, Texas. Last year, on the Mexican side of the border, a teenager from Nuevo Laredo was shot twice in what appeared to be Mexican military stray bullets. Also, last month, that would be December of 2011, 3 American citizens died when Los Zetas attacked and tried to hijack a bus in Veracruz. Since 2010, the battle between Los Zetas, they're a drug cartel, and the Gulf Cartel displaced 6,000 residents along the border town of Mir. Some of those residents were living as refugees across the border in Roma, Texas. So, you've got the Mexican military chasing the drug dealers across the United States border, and you've got regular visitations by the United States military and the Mexican military back and forth across the border, which means, of course, the southern border is completely and totally unprotected. You got the military down there, and they're still shooting at each other. That's okay. I'm going to take a deep breath here for a second. Just calm down just for a few seconds after that story and the Mexican military coming into the United States, shooting at the drug cartel people and killing people. Okay. Here we go. Senator Lieberman's bill to kick off our internment camps. Yay! Internment camps. I love internment camps. For those readers who are part of the 40% of human beings who think ignorance is bliss, stop reading now. I'll give everybody a second so that you can tune away from the show if you happen to be one of the people that believes that ignorance is bliss. Okay, moving on. This article is about a truth so hard that it was actually depressing to write it. And I have followed up on this and taken a look at it, and I can tell you that it is actually real. Senator Lieberman, the modern world can't be an easy place to live in for those who are born genetically predisposed to crave absolute power over others. These days, any would-be totalitarian has only a very small chance of being born in one of the world's few remaining overt dictatorships, and a much greater chance of being born into a larger Western nation that is nominally democratic. While fulfillment of the megalomaniac's innate drive is a walk in the park in a dictatorship, it requires all sorts of protracted subterfuge in a democracy. What a bummer. So we're going to, actually, you know what, for this story, let's go over here and go over to the original website. This is at, okay, let's get rid of that story there. Alrighty, here we go. This is at sott.net. That's SOTT.net. Lieberman's bill to kick off internment camps. Now, if we go down here, the main problem with giving free rein to one's dictatorial leanings in a democracy is the whole citizens' rights and rights of man thing. How is any self-aggrandizing despot to lord it over the masses and watch them squirm and suffer and beg when everyone seems convinced that there are not only democratic and legal rights, but also natural, inalienable rights that come from just being a human being? That's pretty well put. I like that. I have to agree with that. Strangely as it seems, that seems to be what is happening in Western democracies over the past 10 years. Take the USA, for example. There is a power-hungry elite in control of the USA. Should by now be obvious to anybody. This is your Patriot Act, the USA Patriot Act, and the recent indefinite detention bill within the National Defense Appropriations Bill, the one that we've heard so much about. The 9/11 attacks were self-inflicted, created external enemy, very homegrown terrorism, blah, blah, blah. Go over the history here and all that kind of stuff. The U.S. Patriot Act was passed in a wave. There we go. The U.S. Patriot Act was passed in a wave of obnoxious patriotism rather than sober deliberation. Becomes clear when we realize that the Act's authors went to ridiculous lengths to make sure that the name of the Act spelled out USA Patriot. The name is a 10-letter acronym that stands for, and I didn't know this until I read this article, Uniting and Strengthening America by Providing Appropriate Tools Required to Intercept and Obstruct Terrorism. Appropriate tools required. What the hell does that mean? In 2003, the Department of Justice drew up the Domestic Security Enhancement Act of 2003, or the Patriot Act 2. There you can see Dr. Evil right there. Hey, liars, Dr. Evil, also known as Senator Lieberman. It is called H.R. 3166. That is the House Resolution 3166, and the Senate Bill 1698, also known as the Enemy Expectation Act. Never mind. You can read it yourself. A bill sponsored by Mr. Killswitch and Defender of Israel, Joe Lieberman, Independent of Connecticut, and Charles Dent, Republican of Pennsylvania, that, if passed, would give the U.S. government the power to strip Americans of their citizenship for engaging in or purposefully and materially supporting hostilities against the United States. So, check this out. The Occupy Wall Street crowd are actively, this is their own statement, attempting to overthrow and replace the government of the United States. But nothing's being done to them. So who do you think this is aimed at? I wonder. I'll let you know what FEMA camp I'm at so you can send me my mail. At any rate, let's go back over here. Probably long and hard thought about this problem and decided the best way to re-include American citizens in the indefinite detention bill was to provide the removal of their citizenship. So, the NDAA, the one that the big uproar was going on about a couple of weeks ago, the indefinite detention bill within the NDAA, they had to strip that out. So what they have now is what appears to be the enemy why did I go ahead and try to read this again? You know I can't pronounce that word. The Enemy Expectation Act. House Resolution 3166, Senate Bill 1698. But the really interesting thing about all of this is, let's face it, that the USA is well on its road to becoming a police state, is that this policy of disenfranchising citizens as a better way to control and persecute them isn't new in Western democracies. They've been doing this since the Second World War in various countries. In her book, The Origins of Totalitarianism, Hannah Arendt states that these individuals were seen as the scum of the earth by European governments and citizens alike. The Second World War and the displaced persons camps were not necessary to show that the only practical substitute for a non-existent homeland was an internment camp. This has already been this has already been talked about. It's actually been done before. The important point here is that history shows that by revoking a citizen's legal rights, including his or her citizenship, a government can simultaneously destroy any practical recourse a disenfranchised citizen might have to those natural and inalienable human rights. In other words, I'm not even going to bother to try to pronounce it again. This bill that Lieberman and this other clown from Pennsylvania have introduced, and it is in committee right now. Okay, they are working on it right now. It allows the government to strip you of your citizenship, and if you're stripped of your citizenship, you have no country to go to, because if you're not a U.S. citizen, you're not a citizen of any other country. So what do they do with you? They can't deport you. The only place they can deport you is to an internment camp until they decide what to do with you. So, there you go. Let's go back over here and look at the article a little bit more. The Nazis learned this lesson and realized that the most important step in justifying mass murder was to first deprive those targeted for liquidation of all legal status. Okay, let's read that sentence again. The Nazis learned this lesson well and realized that the most important step in justifying mass murder was to first deprive those targeted for liquidation of all legal status. I will take you back to H.R. 3166, the Enemy Expatriation Act. Lieberman, by the way, is the one that wants to put a kill switch on the Internet. Judging by how badly the Internet's working these days, I don't think he really has to do anything at this point. We're going to go down here, and the author of the book that I just mentioned, if a human being loses his political or legal status, he should, according to the inalienable rights of man, be protected by the Declaration of those General Rights. Actually, the opposite is the case. It seems that a man who is nothing but a man has lost the very qualities that make it possible for other people to treat him as a fellow man. So, in other words, you're an object. On the other side of the Atlantic, the supposed bastion of liberty and equal rights, France appears to be following a similar course as the USA under Nicolas Sarkozy. Let's see. Of course, like Obama, Sarkozy is but the low-level public face of a monolithic and ruthless cabal of conspirators. I don't know if I believe that or not, but that's what they say. The French government recently tightened its requirements for anybody seeking French citizenship. Applicants will now be required to speak French, as well as the average Francophone 15-year-old, and swear allegiance to French values, yada, yada, yada. Failure to achieve the language level and infringement of the ambiguous requirement to adhere to French values can lead to French citizenship being denied or revoked. Well, that's just their immigration rules. Much tighter than ours, of course. The nation-state, incapable of providing law for those who had lost the protection of national government, transferred the whole matter to the police. So, what we are saying here is that if you're not a citizen of the United States, they strip you of your citizenship. they can't deport you back to the country that you came from because you're in the country that you came from in the first place, but you're not a citizen of the country here, so they got to do something with you. So they lock you up. So there you go. That is a very, very disturbing congressional and Senate bill. I would advise everybody very highly to waste their breath completely and get a hold of their representatives and their senators so that you too can become as frustrated as me. So that's about it for the see, now the show's producers, they're always very helpful because I can't pronounce expatriation very well. They're going ahead and they're putting it on the computer screen for me, but they're spelling out the word. So since I can't pronounce the word and they're putting the word in the production chat area, it does no good whatsoever. Yep, expatriation. So there you go. At any rate, that's about it for tonight. I don't even know how long we've been on the air. Let me check here. We've been on 45 minutes. How do you like that? So those are our stories for tonight. I'll see if I can dig up something even better. Tomorrow night I have here, right here in my notepad, tomorrow night we are going to be covering Sharia law. You're going to want to make sure that you take a look at the latest court cases in the United States concerning Sharia law. You guys are going to love this one. First, we got the Mexican military coming into Texas and running gun battles with the drug people, and then landing their helicopters at airports, and we're sending our military down there, and nobody seems to know anything at all about it, and there's bullets and people getting killed all over the place. And then we got the time-traveling guy that popped up in New York City, and now they want to strip everybody of their citizenship, so what the hell. That's why we call the show Surrounded by Idiots. Unbelievable. Listen, we're going to have another show tomorrow night. Friday night, we're going to be joined by our good friend Bob Evans. We are going to be talking about some recent archaeological finds in the Middle East, specifically biblically related. And Saturday night, we are going to have the 4th visit by John DiNardo. Now, John is one of the most knowledgeable people that I have ever met on the Bible. He's one of those guys. And I can't figure out how he does this because, like every other Christian, I've read the Bible back and forth, up and down, all of my life. And he'll be like, well, on the 3rd chapter of Revelation, on the 2nd verse, if you look at the 3rd word, you can see that if you take it over and put it in a concordance over there, you can see the actual Greek is not actually what it's written as. So then you have to reconstruct the entire thing, and it means something totally different. And it's amazing what you learn from the guy just by listening to him. So we're going to be having him back on Saturday night. If you've seen any of the episodes with him on, they generally last between 3 and 4 hours. I am hoping, beyond hope, that we can get everything done in 2 hours. I know it's a forlorn hope because by the time we get done, we're all just having so much fun sitting on the bench here, talking about different things and all sorts of different stuff. And, well, what can you do? So, anyways, we've also discovered that the moon has somehow mysteriously rotated on its axis, and I'm sure somebody's going to send me an email and say, well, you know, Bill, it depends on the angle of the Earth and exactly what time of the year. It's within 60 days. Okay? The original photograph was in 60 days of right now. The photograph that I took, whoop, the moon is turned a good 45 degrees, maybe 90 degrees. At any rate, my name is Bill Zam. Thank you for showing up. Hopefully this show recorded properly, and we'll have it uploaded to YouTube sometime within the next year because YouTube doesn't seem to want to upload videos anymore. So I am now going to go and take take a pill because apparently I need to calm down a little bit. So, till tomorrow night, we'll see everybody. See everybody tomorrow night. Remember, when you're driving down the road, this time of the year, it's pretty dark in the morning when you're going to work, and the sun's kind of low in the sky when you're coming home. So, school's letting in, school's coming out, and everything, and the kids are all running around. Just today, I followed a school bus on the way home, and I had to stop and drop off a bunch of the little rugrats, and they're, running around the street, milling around and everything. Finally, they went up on the lawn so we could all go on our merry way. But these kids, they just run around like a bunch of kids. That's what kids do. When you're at a crosswalk, when you're coming up a light or a stop sign or something, you got the crosswalk. I want you to look both ways, okay? Especially in the morning and in the late afternoon, because there's kids running around all over the place. Because, let me tell you something. You're driving down the road and you hit another car, that's an accident. But if you hit a child, that's a tragedy. So, we'll see everybody tomorrow night. Thank you for showing up, and have a good evening. And we'll see you at our local FEMA camp. They happen to have one. They have two of them here in Michigan. Two of the FEMA camps. One in Flint, actually Saginaw, and the other one in Grayling at the Air National Guard Base. Have a good evening. Thank you for showing up. We'll see you tomorrow night. Bye.